Hi guys, welcome to my humble home. Well, I'm just joking around, but yes, this is an amazing, beautiful home that I believe everyone should have before they go to meet the Lord. Well, today on the show, I have Captain Mike Mukula. You all have heard about him. He's a politician, a businessman, he's a pilot, professional pilot, by the way, and then he has served as State Minister of Health from 2006 having to present. Well, right about now, let's go in for Captain Mike Mukula while I still enjoy the view and the scenery and the inspiration coming from the waters, from the wind, blowing the trees and the flowers blossoming. You guys, let's go in for the interview. Captain,
Yes.
August 27th, 1956. Does it ring a bell?
That's the time I met God in his kingdom
See?
for the first time.
I know much about this guy. I'm not a stalker, by the way. I'm not a stalker, but I know much about this guy. Tell us, about that day. Tell us about, your life growing up, your personal life now. Who is Captain Mike Mukula, first of all?
Well, I was born in Soroti, and I think the most important thing is that if I'm to fast track, I was born in a family where my mother and father split when we were still young. A family of 8 children, 4 boys, 4 girls. And I think the most important thing I recall is that during my youthful days, in the beginning when I was about 6, 7, 8 years, was being woken up in the middle of the night in a fight that would ensue between my mother and my father.
Oh.
3 o'clock or thereabouts, and I would only be woken up by the screaming of my mother being beaten and kicked. And it would be terrifying because the screams would be joined with obviously my young sisters, who were scared to see my mother being beaten and kicked and beaten badly. Eventually would wake up and would be packed and walk in the night, and obviously at that time I would be sleepy. And walking up to my destination, sometimes I didn't know, but eventually I got to know that was my uncle's home, a 1-bedroom house with 1 sitting room, and the chores were outside, obviously. Very difficult, and my mother was a teacher. Being a teacher was very difficult, and when we were brought up by a single mother, my mother, Irina Pino Engulu, was a very strong woman, but very low salary, and for 8 children was very difficult. Sometimes you would spend a day without food, and I do recall at one time she broke down into tears when she saw that we had not eaten the whole day, and she had nothing to really put on the table, and she would break down looking at us and cry, and I would hold her and pat her on the back and say, "It's okay. If God has not provided today, we'll have something tomorrow."
How old were you?
I was young, maybe about 9, 10 years old. But the inspiration I got out of it was that from the beginning, from the onset, I was born from a humble beginning. Sometimes would be taken to stay with my grandfather, and it would be 12 miles away from my school, Soroti Church of Uganda, and we were walking from a place called the Model. in a very hot sun, to and fro, early in the morning, no food for lunch, and you'll only come and have dinner in the evening. That was a very trying time, and then I recall one time I was brought to stay with my uncle, the late Francis Okui. He was a medical assistant, and he had a girlfriend, lady friend in Moroto. He would leave me alone in the house, and
Your uncle?
yeah, sometimes I would be without food for 3 days. And I remember one time I wandered into town really starving, and that third day or fourth day without food, coming from school, and they didn't pay what you call the building fees for me to eat at school. Very difficult, and it was not the mango season, so I would feed on mangoes. So I saw my uncle, the late Levi Ojago, in a bar with his friend. They were drinking, and it was about 6:45, 7 or thereabouts. And what I did was walk down to him and broke down into tears. And he said, "Why are you crying? Stop crying. What's the problem?"
Was he drunk? Could you tell he was drunk? Or
No,
he was
he
sober?
was okay. He was working in a bank, and I think it was Barclays Bank then. And I told him, "Uncle, I've not eaten. I'm very hungry." He bought me a bottle of Fanta and 2 sambusas. He told me to sit in the corner. I have never forgotten that, because it saved me, and I do recall the time he passed on, that uncle of mine who bought me 2 sambusas. I was then a minister in government of Uganda. I was in Arusha, and when I was informed, one thing I did was that I buried him like a king. The 2 sambusas and one Fanta saved my life tremendously, and that was a gesture of love. And to me, it is something that humbled me. But one thing was that I gave him a very decent burial because of the 1 sambusa.
What happened to your dad?
He passed on. He used to drink alcohol so much. He was a consummate drunkard, and he used to smoke cigarettes. And one thing I saw when I was growing up was that because of the character and the behavior and the attitude he had towards my mother, I promised myself that I would never drink, I would never smoke. It's a resolution that I passed on to myself right from the beginning, right from onset when I was a young person. And to date, I've never tested. I don't smoke, I don't drink alcohol. Yes, I'm outgoing, not that alcohol is bad, but I saw that there is something better than smoking or drinking. One thing I have as a motto is that no surrender, no retreat, forward ever, backward never. So from that beginning, and that humble beginning, my mother taught me, because she said, I don't have money for school fees. The little money that I earn cannot pay for all the school fees of the children.
And that is why I wanted to ask, how did you attain your education? Because you're a very learned man.
Well, I remember my mother used to grow cotton. She also used to sell, she used to send me to sell mandazi, sumbusa.
Very hardworking woman.
In town, in Soroti municipality now. And in the bus park, I would sell sumbusa, I would sell mandazi, I would sell chapati. And sometimes in the evening when we come back, she would be selling the local brew, ajono, marua.
But
And
Biaibo.
Yakuna.
I thought you didn't know. I know a little
So
bit of.
you see, here I am, right from the beginning, being an entrepreneur.
Your mother nurtured you.
Nurtured me, taught me to work hard. And I remember one time again, when she would send me, I think she forgot, that I would get hungry when I'm selling. So I ate some of the subusas and
I knew that was coming.
and mandazis. I was beaten to a pulp.
So she used to count.
She used to count everything
Every piece.
and count the money. So she said, "What happened to this?" I said, "I ate." I was very honest, and I ate the sambusa, I ate the chapati, because how could I sell to people
when you're very hungry?
and I see them chewing and eating and getting replenished, and here I am very hungry. So I said, "Let me take some." She said, "Never eat your capital." So, and never eat your capital, because you reduce on your
business.
Your business.
Yes, you eat
your
it
profit.
in other words. At what time did you wake? At what time were you supposed to wake up? Growing up, because you've told us about how your mom would make sumbosas, mandazis. That means you used to wake up a little earlier than the normal time.
5.
Everyone had to be up.
5, sometimes 4 a.m. up, and you'd see that she's frying and so on and so forth. By 6:30, you'd be on the street, because that's the time the buses are moving to Mbale, moving to Lira, moving to Moroto, Kampala. So you've got to be in time for people to buy what you're selling, so that as they're traveling to these long journeys, they have food.
Which schools did you go to? Because people are watching the show and probably would want to say, "Oh my God, Captain Mike Mukula is my OB." So which schools did you go to?
I went to Soroti Church of Uganda. It's now Soroti Demonstration School. It's in Soroti Municipality. And then I went to Teso College, Aloit. I remember when
Teso College is known for striking. Is that the school?
Well, I don't know about that now.
But you guys used to strike.
During my time, yes, we did. We were in a strike one time. Yes. And
were you part of it?
Yes, I was part of it.
What were the reasons?
Well, young people are militant. We go.
And you end up going foolish.
And you go foolish. This is what happens. And I would advise young people not to get involved in these skirmishes, strikes, and so on. The things in the world are resolved by discussion and discourse, talking. Dialogue is the way to go, not violence. Violence is repugnant. It is something that you should stay away from. In this modern era, you don't go in and punch somebody and so on. Let the lawyers do that. That's why lawyers go to school, to learn laws, so that if somebody has infringed on your privacy, in your well-being, and you think that you have been injured one way or the other, let the lawyer handle it.
Yes.
Not to go into this modern era,
and, wanting to show who is
21st century. You're falling down, scratching clothes, removing and packing, and tearing each other's eyes and so on. At the end of the day, what do you get? Nothing. Yes.
Teso College. Which other schools did you go to?
After Teso College, I went into Nairobi School of Aviation. I did aviation in Nairobi. I went to Acme School of Aeronautics in Dallas, Fort Worth area. I used to live near the Beecham Field Air Force Base. It was the Acme School of Aeronautics, where I did private pilot's license, commercial pilot's license. I also did an instructor's rating. I also did multi-engine rating. I also did what you call the instrument rating. With the instructor's rating and ATP, Airline Transport Pilot's License, I acquired what you call the professional pilot's license.
Briefly,
and then I came back to Soroti and completed my training in the East African Civil Aviation Academy, Soroti. and I became an instructor also in Soroti, teaching people how to fly.
How to fly, yes.
Yes, I became an assistant flight instructor, and full instructor. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a little later how you juggled, being an instructor, being a businessman, being a politician, minister, so many things, at a go.
Yeah.
But briefly tell us, was it a dream of yours to become a pilot, or it's something, growing up you jumped onto one, was like, let me do this?
Well, what I can say is that I one time used to stay with my uncle, Jonathan Ekochu, renowned civil servant, principal private secretary to a president, worked for a number of presidents, very honest and astute civil
By number
servant.
of presidents, you mean the presidents of Uganda?
Number of presidents of Uganda. And in Entebbe, I used to go to the airport and see airlines landing and taking off. It's a passion of most young people. They want to see aeroplanes, see how does it go up, how does it come down, who flies the aeroplanes, and who serves in the aeroplanes. And that's when I started seeing pilots in their blue, navy blue or blue uniforms, or black with the golden bars, 4 bars or 3 bars, and then the cabin crew, the air hostess. Very beautiful, elegant, and no doubt when you look at the pilots with their dark glasses and their caps and their briefcases, and they're being told, that to me was my childhood dream. I said one day I also want to be a pilot. I used to watch the Israeli pilots flying at the airport, training. They used to have what they call the Fugan aircraft. I used to see those aircraft, and they used to do spins and maneuvers, and I said, wow.
Well, on the show, I had Captain Mike Mukula. I still have, by the way, Captain Mike Mukula. We're going to break it off today for part 1, but we're coming back for part 2 with Captain Mike Mukula.